Who's viewed your profile? Because I think it's on my list here somewhere. Like I said, this is a journey tonight to show you some of the best features that you should use as a job seeker. And this is one of them. Okay, so over here on this side, right over here on your home page, you click on who's viewed your profile. Anybody ever done that? Okay? I can't believe all of you haven't. Aren't you interested in who's stalking you? I mean, I think it's interesting. But I thought it was just interesting and not useful, but it's really, really useful. Why? Because here's what's going on. Now, by the way, see the dean at Marquette and someone in the human resources? And sometimes it'll say anonymous, right? These people have decided to not be known when they are stalking. You control that. So that's a setting that you set when you're looking around. I don't want people to know who I am. No paid account in the world will let me know who that is or that. And I'll show you the setting in a second, okay? But understand what's going on here. What's going on here is somebody's looked at your profile. And I can promise you something. There's nobody that comes home from church on Sunday, sits down in front of a Packer game, looks over at his spouse, and says, honey, I'm going to be tied up here for about 3 hours. Of course, you know the Packers are on. But while I'm watching the Packers, I plan on looking at random profiles. Right? I mean, nobody would do that. I mean, if you tell your spouse that, it's a pretty boring life you got there. I mean, if you're out looking at random profiles. No, so that doesn't happen. If somebody's on your profile, something good could be happening. Now, number one, if somebody pops up here from a company you applied at, that's really good, okay? And you'll start seeing that. You'll see HR director, might even say HR director at Actuent, one of the name, but I'm telling you, you know what you should do right away? Leave a voicemail to anybody you can, because they've taken the next step. They're looking at your profile. Or if I was interested in a job at, well, let's say a company name's here, right? And it's a company I didn't even apply for, but I like that company. I know that I would love to work there. And people are looking at your profile. See these buttons here? Look at that. LinkedIn's basically saying, why don't you do something with these people? They're looking at you.
You can message Alyssa.
You can message them, or if you're not connected, see that button? Look. So I would send out a message. It'd go just like this. I saw you looked at my profile. I looked at yours. You work for one of the companies on my target list. Any questions? Or I just applied at your company. Any questions? In the meantime, why don't we connect? What's the worst thing that they could do? Nothing. But chances are something's going on here. And sometimes it's even this and you don't even know it. Your friend says, my really good friend John, he's looking for a job and I think he'd be perfect for that job at your company. Right? And John didn't call, your friend didn't call and say, John, by the way, watch for, somebody could be checking you out because I sent them there. They just did that and forgot to tell you. And so, all of a sudden somebody shows up there, it's the HR director somewhere, and you make something happen with that, my friends. I can tell you, those of us in the Midwest think the things I'm telling you right now are really aggressive. Aren't you? That's what you're thinking. And when I teach this out on the East Coast, they come up to me and they go, Wayne, that's aggressive? Contacting somebody who's looked at your profile, who looks interesting to you? One sales guy from New Jersey told me this. He says, that's why we love competing against you guys in the Midwest. Because you sit over in a corner and you go, I think that's pretty interesting. And maybe somebody will call me tomorrow. Just maybe. And you go up to your wife and say, honey, you be close to that phone all day tomorrow. Because on Sunday, she looked at my profile and I'm pretty sure she's going to call me. No, you call her. Hi. You looked at my profile. I looked at yours. We need to be together. That's what you do. You don't use those words, but you know what I'm saying? Who's viewed your profile? Great tool. Now here's the setting. Okay? Go into your settings. Privacy, you go by your face, slide down to privacy and settings, okay, put your code in. Select what others see when you have viewed their profile. This is the stalker setting. Full disclosure, something in the middle, totally anonymous. So that's the totally anonymous one. This is the one that says Dean at Marquette. That's the full disclosure. So you know what you should be most of the time, don't you? Full disclosure. Great picture. Super duper headline. We've learned that tonight, haven't we? The headline is your brand.
So you can change your
yeah.
setting when you want to be anonymous?
Right. And
For
that's,
a while I was completely anonymous all the time.
Yeah, and the trouble with being completely anonymous on the free account is you don't get to see who saw you.
Right.
So by being anonymous, you might say, well, I always want to be anonymous. Well, then you'll never get to see the people looking at you. So I would only be anonymous when I wanted to do my stalking, but in general, I want to have my brand out there. I want people to know when I'm out and about. It's like going to a networking event. Do you want people to not see you were there? No, you like that. I was there. I'm looking, I'm pursuing. That's why the headline says pursuing or looking. You never know who's going to stumble on it because it's going to show up in a lot of nice places. So in general, I think you should be the top one. But you ought to have a killer headline in order to really get the benefit out of it. Okay, all right. So we did, find and connect with recruiters who specialize in your industry. I mean, that's a simple one. And yet hardly anybody's doing that. How many people can tell me they've done that? Recruiters in Milwaukee, if that's where you want your job, in your industry. Raise your hand. All the rest of you should. It's easy. You go like this. In the title, you put recruiter. Okay, that's pretty simple. Then let's say you're an engineer. So you're looking for engineering recruiters. And you only care about working in Milwaukee, so you don't want to go all over the country. You put the zip code in. And you hit search. And you get 535. Now, will these people connect with you? Like in about 3 seconds, right? Because you know what we are to them. We're inventory. Every stinking one of us. And that's how they make their money, and they won't even hesitate to connect with you as long as you're an engineer, right? They might not connect with you accountants because they're not an accounting recruiter. Recruiters are good people to be connected to. Don't worry. I mean, they know a lot of companies too, right? They're connected to a lot of companies, and they might find you a job. You don't care if they make their 25%. I wouldn't. Okay.
No, because it's not coming out of your pocket.
Right, it's not coming out of your pocket. So number 3 is a no-brainer. We talked about number 4, except I didn't show you this. On that job searching thing that we did, clicking the job search, putting in a job kind. We'll put accounting this time. Milwaukee, search. If this is a good search for you, the second step on this tip is to do this. Save your searches. Then you'll get an email every day or every week or every month, however you set it, from LinkedIn when somebody posts a new accounting job in Milwaukee. Okay? You can fall asleep, you're going to get the email. You want to do that. So you'll just set up the save search, okay? Now, one thing you can do on the save search, let's say you have 20 target companies. And you ought to have some target companies, my friend. And you ought to go on their company page and hit the follow button. I don't even know if that's on my list. Go to every company you're going to work for. There's a company page on LinkedIn. Find their company page. It's a yellow button up on the top. Hit the follow. You now became a follower. You're going to hear about every job posting that they ever put up through LinkedIn automatically. But let's say you get these 20 companies and you're an engineer. So you go over here in this section, under the company name, you say company 1 plus company 2 plus company 3 plus company 4 plus company 5. All in the same box, right? It's just one big stream of, it's like, that's how Boolean search logic works, just plus, 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 plus. And then you put the engineer, you hit save. The jobs will only come up for those 20 companies. Hit the save button, and now LinkedIn's just looking for those 20, and you only use one save search. You get one email that says, here are the 20 companies. Company 3 just posted a new job. Company 9 just posted a new job. You can use Boolean search logic. You can string a whole bunch of stuff together. It isn't plus, or. Sorry. Plus means in Boolean search logic, it's got to be all of them. Or. Company 1, or company 2, or company 3. And the or has to be capitalized. Capital O, capital R. If you bought my book, it's in chapter 13. Tell you exactly how the ors and the ands and all that stuff work. It's not that hard, just we didn't grow up with it. It's different. Okay, number 5. Let's talk about number 5. I think I'm going to make it tonight. Charlie, I think I'm going to make it. I think I'm going to get through all of them tonight. I'm really, and still with time to spare. I would be so proud of myself if I do that. Okay, status updates. Let's talk about status updates. Number 5. That's these little babies right over here, right? You guys have all seen these on your homepage. I'm on my homepage. It's where people are yakking about something, right? And they're posting articles, and they're posting videos, and they're just sharing stuff. Okay, what is my little tip here for you say? Share at least one status update every day. How many people in this room have shared a status update in the last week? Thank you. Why did you do that?
Found a good article I wanted to.
Why did you do that?
It was about time to get my face out there again.
Bingo! It's exposure. It's having your little smiling face and your name and an article about your space, right? What is your expertise? What do you read about? You're a project manager, it's project management stuff. A LinkedIn expert, it's LinkedIn stuff. HR people, employment stuff. Okay? And all it is staying in front of your audience, your friends, your connections, making sure they see you from time to time, always around your theme of what you do, never about lunch or breakfast or your dog or vacation. That's Facebook, it's not LinkedIn, right? Always about the stuff you're expert at. Now, if you're connected with other people in your industry, okay, the easiest thing to do, if you haven't done your status update for the day, is come over here and you see something else that somebody else posted, and it was interesting, and you read it, you can hit the share button and then share their update. So you didn't even have to find the article. You with me? So the point is, we're all connected with people who are sort of in the same space we're in, right? Co-workers and stuff who might, or expert in the industry, or people who write articles and all that. Just hit the share button, and now you can share their article with your network. This is just marketing. This is personal marketing is all it is. Now, people go to me every day, Wayne. That's sort of annoying, isn't it? You know why it's not annoying? Is there anybody in this room that could raise their hand and say, every day before you go to bed, you've read every status update that appears in your LinkedIn feed for that day, so that when you get up the next day, you read them all again. You read the next days. Nobody does it, right? The feed is a feed. Just sort of happens all day. Things are popping around. You're in and out of LinkedIn. Some stuff you see, some stuff you don't see. Some stuff you might go to a person's page, because then you might see their feed on their page, right? But I'm saying nobody sits there like intently reads it like an email. It's not an email. It doesn't show up in anybody's inbox, so you're not spamming, you're not anything. Think of a status update as a radio announcement. Some days I'm driving. I heard it. Other days I was there in the car today. So you're really not bothering people. It's sort of, in your case as job seekers, it's just a way to be in front of the people that love you consistently. That's all. People that love you. And maybe even some people that don't love you, but you'd like them to love you because you connected with them because they work at Actuant. Like my friend at MRA, right? That's what he did. He was bringing on the love, going, these people are going to love me. And someday, I'm working there. Done. Okay? Now, if you don't know whose stuff to share, if you don't, follow me, connect with me. You can do that. Everybody in this room can connect with me, okay? And I post 5 updates a day. And take anyone you want. Next time I see you, I'll give you a big hug. Because I love the traction. You want to give me some traction with your network? I'm all about, ooh, that's good for me. So go ahead. You'll find me. Okay? All right. Now, what's the best time of day to post a status update? It's on your sheet, 11 to 3. Why? Because it's when people do LinkedIn in general. Now, is it bad to do it on the weekend? No, it's okay. You can do it. I'm just trying to get you sort of started on this thing because nobody's doing it and you're missing a great personal marketing opportunity. Is it work? All this crap's work. Okay? And it is work. It just is. Okay, cool. Number 6, who's viewed my profile? We talked about that. We're doing great. Number 7, company pages. Oh, I get to show you that. Okay, let's do that. Let's go look at a company page. Let's go look at Milwaukee Tool. I saw that one pop up. So how do you get to company pages? You come up here, you click on companies, you start typing in a company name. It starts populating, see what it does? Milwaukee Tool, electric tool, okay. Here's the follow button. You should go home and follow every company you want to work for. Here's a story, a real true story. I tell only true stories. I told a group of job seekers a couple of years ago to do the exact thing. Lady calls me about 6 weeks after that class, and she leaves me a message. Wayne, I got to talk to you. It worked. That's all she said. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to talk to her. So we got on the phone. I said, so what happened? She said, I got a job. I said, oh, that's just great. Did LinkedIn help you? She said, yeah, that's why I called you. I said, what'd you do? She said, well, I went home that night, just like you told me. I had the 15 companies I want to work for. You know I was a salesperson. I said, I guess I remember, okay. And I clicked the follow button on all 15 companies. And about 4 weeks later, I get a phone call. Hi, I'm the HR director at this company. Why are you following us? And she said, because I went to this class, this guy told me I should do it, and he said I would start getting the job postings and stuff. And she said, well, I've looked at your profile already, and you look really interesting, and I wish you'd come in for an interview, and she got the job. And that's because of this. If you click that number of followers, and anybody can, by the way, you'll see everybody, all 5,000 people. You can go look at anybody's followers you want, and the HR director can too. And when I teach this class to HR directors, I tell them, there's a gold mine in there. There's a whole bunch of people in there that want to work for you. So look at it from time to time. And don't be afraid to try to connect them on LinkedIn if they look good to you, because they're on there not because they want to follow a gazillion companies, because they've decided you're interesting to them. Okay? So that's follow companies. If you go to the careers tab on every company page, you may find some jobs there, all the jobs that they've spent money on LinkedIn. If you don't find anything in the careers tab, they just haven't paid any money to LinkedIn to post jobs. I think Milwaukee Tool probably has. Yep, there's the jobs. So here's all the Milwaukee Tool jobs right over here. And there's a lot more. You click through. Okay, so that's what this tab is for. Okay, that's the company page. Okay, headlines. We talked about headlines. Good, great. So we know what headlines are all about. Number 9, be sure your profile has at least 3 calls to action. Okay, here's what's going on. Calls to action. Back to the profile. A little bit about how people view profiles and stuff. People view profiles usually in batches because they've done a search. And they're looking for a certain kind of person with certain kinds of skills, keywords, maybe even companies, universities, and they get a list. And then they look at them and compare people. Just like a stack of resumes, right? That's all it is. This is the stack that came up. I'm going to look through the stack. This step for you is to try to put some things in your profile so that you get people to go a little deeper with you. In other words, get them to do something. Get them to do something. A few things that you might want to consider. Underneath your summary, those 2 boxes, or any one of your job entries, you have the ability, so summary, job entries, and educational entries, you can put slideshows, videos, PDF files, documents, right on your profile. Okay, let's talk about what that could look like for you. What document you think you all should have hanging on your profile? Right. How about your resume? That's a laydown. You put it on a PDF, you upload it. This is called your professional gallery. And the professional gallery, like I said, available in the summary, bottom of the summary, bottom of any job entry, bottom of any educational entry.
You can put
What else?
letters of recommendation.
Perfect. Kai, home run. Letters of recommendation that you're toting around in your briefcase. I put it on here. It'll show up just like this letter here. And you know what I would say in this little box where you only get 2 sentences? Read this letter of recommendation from the president of Actuant.
Maybe any award, like significant award.
Perfect.
Or something on that order that.
Perfect.
You know, you've gotten to. I mean.
Maybe there's a copy of an article where you won an award and a picture where you got the award. Or, yes, exactly.
You know, for somebody in sales, maybe something that has to do with customer service or something like that.
Perfect.
If you've got a letter from a customer.
Picture of you winning the Employee of the Month award.
Yeah.
All of these, you put, the way these things get in here, it's either an uploaded document or it's a link to a website, one or the other. Either one works. Okay, uploaded document. How about, does anybody have a video resume? It's interesting because the college kids are doing video resumes now. And it's part of their deal. At Whitewater, when I go down there to teach LinkedIn, they all already have their 1-minute video resume, and employers love it.
Maybe you're doing a demonstration too. And
Oh, that'd be even the best.
You know, and you can get somebody to do video you while you're doing
Yeah.
your demonstration. For example, I'm a nanny. One of the big things in newborn care is swaddling. You could do something on a swaddling.
That'd be perfect. You know what a video would show? Personality. I mean, and it doesn't, the nice thing these days is you don't really have to have a guy like Rick doing it professionally. It's okay if you want to, but you can shove a phone in front of your face and say, "Hi, this is John. I wish you'd hire me." No, no, you would say, "This is the kind of job I'm looking for." I mean, what they do in college is they try to get the kids to talk about some things they're passionate about. Because then, you know what happens? It doesn't seem canned, and they're talking about something they're passionate about. So try to see one story that really gets you fired up, that you learned or did, right? So video would be great, although, you know, you're probably all a little bit nervous about that. I wouldn't be. But I'm not, you know, you got to do what you feel comfortable here. All these are, though, is things to take people a little deeper when they're comparing a whole bunch of people. Because keep this in mind. When there's that list of people, it's just a beauty contest. And whose profile is going to be the most interesting and the most meaningful and have the most things in it that make you different and look like an expert. Like, there's a section called publications. If you've written anything, that should be there. There's a section called projects. You can use projects for something you didn't work. Yeah.
So my husband's a scientist. He might have 50, 60 papers. What do you recommend for someone with something that of that length?
You know, I don't know if I put the whole paper up.
No, not the paper, but the titles.
Oh.
Like
I would find just the 3 best or something, right? I wouldn't put all 50 up.
Or maybe they apply to a specific area in the science and
that'd be hard, yeah.
You know, all you're trying to do is you're not trying to tell your life story or show every example of your work. You're trying to show an example of your work that shows you're smart and in the space.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it allows you.
It becomes difficult in science because they very much look at, you know, something you did 30 years ago might be very.
Yeah. So has it all been on one job or multiple jobs?
Oh no, in the course of a lifetime, you know, scientists are evaluated by the public.
Well, what's interesting is you can have 5 things underneath every job.
Okay.
So
you could attach, what I'm saying is, it's okay, I can ask you after.
yeah, but I'm saying he can have 5 for every job. And if he's got 4 jobs and he's got 5 projects, that's 20 gets covered. I mean, I don't think you want people to.
No, but I mean, like, say you have 50 patents, so how do you go about listing that, or do you say I have 50 patents?
I would put that down, but I probably would have some that were very detailed.
Okay.
You know? He got to probably pick the best ones. He could put all 50 up. I just think somebody would be bogged down by the.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. How do you?
Now, if he had all of them on some kind of website that was somewhere else, that's even better. You know, if he had a space where they were on, like, you know, if he had a web page, that'd be. But he doesn't have a web page, so.
We have to remember, like a resume, LinkedIn is not meant to replace a face-to-face conversation. It's a teaser to invite us in. So it doesn't need to be totally definitive.
Yeah, I would definitely in the summary talk about the 50 patents. I would say, I've done 50 patents over my 30 years of experience, and down here in my patents, I've listed the 5 that I had the biggest impact with, or the, you know, something. So what you might want to do, your summary can actually be a directional, and say, down there you can watch a video, down in that section you might want to read an article that I did, and then there, you know, you can direct people around with the summary. There could be.
You have a web page, you know, like in your case, directing him to, you know, his career as a scientist and so forth, and so on, what he's accomplished. You might be able to link that.
And where you can list, you can have 3 web pages right here. In the context section, 3 web pages are actually allowed. Okay, but all of the things like when you in this project section, like this is the project section, that links to a website. See that click? That'll click through to a website. Same with publications. Will also click through to a website. Like, see this? This is all clickable. So in some cases, if they're out on the web somewhere, you can have a little description, click, go to the web, right? So you could do a mixture of both of those, I would say. Okay, we talked about that. Let's talk about this section a little bit. Advice for contacting. Many people miss this. Don't. This should be it should be easy to get a hold of you. And if you want it to just be your email, fine. But make sure you use this section, because if somebody hits you in their 3rd degree or 2nd degree, 2nd degree does not get your email address automatically, right? 1st degree does. But if you put it in here, they can get a hold of you. If you don't want phone number, don't put phone number. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. But there ought to be some way to get a hold of you. If you want it to be just on LinkedIn, say, contact me through LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, because the 2nd degree is going to go, how am I going to connect with you? While I'm on that, let's talk about that. Let's talk about invitations to people a little bit, because some of you are making big mistakes. I know that. And I'm making big mistakes sometimes. And here's the big mistake. The big mistake is that you're using a button that shows up like where we saw who viewed your profile, it said connect. Or if you go into a section called alumni, let's do that. I'll take you to the section, and that way I can show you the section too. When you click on a school, you go into this section called alumni. It lets you see people at a school, where they work, what they do. Now I'm in Whitewater, okay? What they're skilled at and how you're connected. So this section, take note of this, because this is pretty powerful stuff. There's 2,700 students that were there when I was there, but I can change this to the beginning of time, basically. Maybe somebody's still alive, I doubt it, but let's go. Let's see what happens. So there's 30,000 people that are on LinkedIn that went to Whitewater. If I'm interested in, let's say, GE Healthcare, there's 103 people who work there. If I'm interested in the marketing people, there's 9 of those people. How cool is that? There they all are. Did you see how I did that? That's really powerful. So the mistake you're making is by hitting this button right here. If I hit that button right now, it's going to send out to Mary, I'd like you to join my network on LinkedIn. Yuck. Yuck. Here's what I mean by that. If you know somebody well, I don't care how you invite them, right? If Mary's a college friend, push whatever button you want, because she's your friend. It doesn't matter. But if Mary is not a friend of yours, and you're trying to connect with a friend for a reason, like she works at GE Healthcare and you're hoping to get a job at GE, then you need that message box to pop up where you can customize your invitation, where you want all 300 characters, right? So in this case, Mary looks good. Don't hit the connect button. Go to Mary's profile. Oops. I want to go to your profile. Ooh, oh, watch out. Oh, this isn't even as good. It's not, there might be 300 characters here. Let's go to a regular profile. That's interesting. So when I hit here, it sends me this little abbreviated thing. I hate that. Remember her name, Mary Youngbauer. Try to always go to their profile so you do the regular thing. What's interesting about that was, I didn't have to tell them how I knew her. Did you notice that? Usually you have to come up with how you know her. From the alumni page, it just says, well, you're alumni. Interesting. I didn't know that. I learned something tonight. All right, let's go through a normal process.
I think because you're in a group with her.
Group? I think it was just because, maybe it was group, because alumni group, maybe. Could be. All right, so here, you've got these choices on how to connect with people, right? What do you do if none of them apply?
Other.
And you do other, then what do you need sometimes? Email address. You don't have that, right? So here's the workaround is this. You can always pick who we've done business together. Now, that could be a little white lie, right? But here, in Mary's case, look what you got here. Groups. So one thing you can do, if you don't like that little white lie thing, we did business together, then go look at Mary's groups, and if she's in the Green Bay Packer group, join the Green Bay Packer group, then go to her profile, then you can pick the Green Bay Packer group, and then you can say, hey, Packer friend, you work at GE, we need to talk, I just applied, whatever your pitch is going to be. Okay? Whatever you do, try to stay away from using an app, because only the app will only invite them with the standard invitation. And I really just think it's wrong. I think you need to use all 300 characters. Now here's what a 5-star invitation says. Ready? You only got 300 characters, you can't write the Bible. Don't try to sell yourself on the invitation. The invitation is simply to try to get them to connect, and then later you can write the Bible. Okay? A 5-star invitation has one of these two things, maybe both. One, how did we meet if we ever met? Okay? If we ever met, 3 years ago, we met at a conference, I remember you well, you work at GE, I want to meet with you. Okay? Second part, how could you help them? Or what's going on here? Why should they care, right? Why should they care? And that's sometimes hard to do, right? You're going, I want the job, that's why they should care. Well, you might want to say it in such a way like, I see you know Joe. We're both connected to Joe. Joe said I should contact you. Now, always call Joe. In other words, if you're trying to connect with somebody, you got somebody in between, you can always ask that person, could I use your name in a connection request to that person? Would you mind that? I say, no, they're my friend. Go ahead. Help yourself. But always ask that, right? But your friend will usually say, yeah, okay, it's not a problem. Use my name. Because usually if a connection request includes a common friend, they'll go, oh, sure, it's a friend of hers. I'll do it. It's okay. I like her. It's just any friend of hers is a friend of mine. Okay? So that's how. So a 5-star connection request. If you know them, if you've met them anywhere, try to mention that. Otherwise, you got to try to come up with a way that's something in it for them, or what the connection is, or you got to just try to stay away from this using the standard invitation. Okay, let's talk about groups, and then we'll do questions. We are doing so good. Okay, groups. 50 groups on LinkedIn. We talked about that. How do you set the groups? Get rid of the emails, right? Everybody's dying to do that. You go into your settings again, and there's a tab that says groups. Groups. Set the frequency of group digest emails. 3 choices. Daily, weekly, no emails. Okay? So knowing that you can do no emails, is there any reason you don't want 50 groups? There are 2 million groups, 1.9. What we didn't talk about so far with groups is, we talked about did we talk about how they help you in relevancy? Yeah, we did, right? This is my 3rd class today, sorry. Let me give you the quick version of that is, if I'm looking for an engineer who does certain things in Milwaukee, and you and I are not connected at the 1st or 2nd degree, you're going to end up on page 9 of the search. That's how the search works. If we're first degree, you're going to be higher. Your second degree, you're going to be right in second. It's sort of almost first degree, second. That's how they order it, generally. But what you're going to find is, if we're in a group together, you're going to move up higher than you deserve to be. Because LinkedIn says, well, she's a second degree, but you're also in this group with her. I'm going to put her up with the first. So it helps your relevancy in a search order, being in a group. Where I'm in a group with you, I'm looking for people like you, we're in a group together. So because of that, you want to be in a lot of groups, because it's going to increase your relevancy. Here's the other thing. You can send a message to people that you're in a group with. Can you send a message to a second or third degree people? No. That's called an in-mail, and you got to pay for those, right? You can send only messages to people at the first degree and people you're in a group with. So it opens another door in that you can send messages to people that you normally wouldn't have the rights to do so. So how do you find your best groups? Of course, join your alumni group. Join your town biggest groups in Milwaukee. Link Up Milwaukee, by the way. Join Link Up Chicago if you want to work in Chicago. Join the Green Bay Packer group. It's 5,000 people. Join chamber groups. Join industry groups. Join your customers' industry groups. All that stuff, right? Join the Harley-Davidson group. There's 50 groups. And when you think you're all done, and you go, I'm going to call Wayne because I am a 42, I am done. I look at all the architecture groups and all, I got them, I know I do, I'm going to call Wayne. I need 8 more. Here's what I'll tell you to do. I say, okay, get on your computer, go up to this section, search, click the groups on, hit the search button, and you'll see all the groups that exist on LinkedIn, 1.8 million, reminding you, you only need 50. Start scrolling through this list. Because look at what order they're in. Can anybody tell? Right. Size. So that top group, job openings. 1.5 million people you just became more relevant with. And you're a job seeker. If you're not in that group, you are crazy. That's 1.5 million people. And remember, recruiters are in that group too because they figure you're there. Right? Go through this list. We have a project manager in the room. Slide through this list and grab the ones in the order when you see one that looks good to you. Here's project managers. It's 500,000 people. I don't know. Here's the finance club. If you've had a job in finance, it's 400,000 people. Pick off some of these big ones. Of course, turn the emails off though, right? Because will you get an email every day from a group that has 500,000 people?
Yeah.
Now, you won't get any more than one a day, but you'll get one a day, and that's 50 a day, and who needs that crap? So the bottom line is you're going to have some groups that are important to you where they really have some good discussions and you don't want to miss them. Probably maybe 10 groups. But the other 40 groups, I want you to turn off the emails. And I want you to just be in them for relevancy and your ability to send a message and your ability to be found by the other people in the group that might have the perfect job for you. The other thing that every group has is a jobs tab, don't they? Every single group. And if you're in a group that's an industry group, I think I'm in the project manager group. So I'm in this project. If I'm a project manager, I need to be in the project manager group. But like all other groups, there's a jobs tab. So here are jobs listed here that are all project manager jobs. Right here. Project manager type jobs, because it's that group. And not only are there's 1,094 jobs in there. And look at this. There's 404 jobs discussions. Here's what a job discussion is. Somebody who is too cheap to spend $200. So that's 1,500 jobs in this group for project managers. I sure would want to go into that group and look at those jobs. So you join the accounting group and you join, right? Your industry groups are going to be powerful for this very reason. Because there'll be specific jobs and job discussions. Okay, so would you like 500 groups? I sure would. I take some of yours. You got one, leave them at the door. I want to be as relevant to as many people as I can be relevant to, and I want to be found by the most people, and I want to be able to communicate with the most people, and I don't get bothered by the emails just fine. Okay. All right. We are, by the way, if you're not getting my tips, we didn't talk about this. This is the kind of stuff you'll get every Sunday from me. This worksheet, this keyword worksheet. A funny story behind this one. I remember writing this tip 4 years ago. And I wrote it just like this because everybody was asking me, how's this keyword thing, Wayne? I don't know, you're confusing me. I didn't grow up on keywords. So I wrote this thing on Saturday morning. I remember giving it to my wife, Brenda, and I said, and she looked at it and she says, that's not going into tip tomorrow. I said, what do you mean? I said, this is a great tip. People need this help. And she said, I think we can sell that. That could be $2 a piece, I think. Other people are selling worksheets and stuff. And I said, honey, I know what you think. I'm so happy you're looking out for us. Will you please just edit it? It's going out tomorrow. And so this is one of my best tips ever, and people like it, so I use it. But so this is how you get my tips. Please, I encourage you to sign up for that. It's also a way to keep track of my classes, and you do have a list of my classes, by the way, I think in your handouts. There's a day coming up in November 7th when I'm teaching all 3 of my classes, beginner, advanced sales, and my company class. If that's not applicable to you, pass it on to a friend. It's the last time I'm teaching this year, open to the public. Okay, I'd love to, yeah?
Can you sign up to receive your tip? For example, can my wife sign
Sure.
up without filling this not being here today?
Yeah, if you go to my website, there's a box there that says sign up. Yeah, that'd be just fine. Okay, let's do some questions. Who's got questions? Yes, sir.
Can you talk about public profile settings?
Yeah, okay, public profile settings. So what he's referring to is this. You have the ability, when you are in edit profile, to not have everything appear out in the Google world. You can adjust that. And how do you get to that? You go right here. I'm in edit. And it starts with this. If you don't have your URL with your name, you need to get it. See, it says www.linkedin.com/in/Wayne Breitbarth. If you've never changed yours, you should go try to get your name. Because then you can put that nice little URL on your email signature, on your resume, on your business cards. Right now, if you've never did that, you have a little bit of your name in 863950-102 instead of your name. Real nice. How do you change that? Like this whole page, you just hit the word edit. When you hit edit, right over here is your ability to try to grab your name. Grab your name. If it says it's not there anymore, then you have to put your middle initial or junior, right? Something, or number 1. You got to put, because it's a unique, only one person can have a name. Okay? Now, the public settings he's referring to is this. You have the ability to not send these things over to Google. In other words, what that means is if you go to Google and you put your name in the Google box and hit search, your LinkedIn profile will show up on page 1. But the public profile, whatever you agree to send over. So you can trim that back. You can get rid of your picture. You can get rid of whatever you want to go over in Google, and somebody's got to be on LinkedIn to see this stuff. What do I recommend? Right. I recommend full profile. Now, if you're worried about the picture, don't send the picture over, right? But in general, I want to be seen. I want to be branded. I'm hoping people are going to find me. But at least you know that ability exists to not send it all over to Google. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Who's viewed my page? A month ago, I got an email, so I wanted to see who viewed my page. Department of Homeland Security. No picture, no name, just...
Said someone at Department of Homeland Security?
I was wondering if there's a way of finding out why they revoked it. The only thing I can think of is about 18 months ago I applied at TSA, but I had called and they said, if you didn't hear something the first thing, we want to probably would go. So
Yeah, I don't know any way to track down the people when they don't want to show who they are. I'm pretty sure it was somebody from the Department of Homeland Security, but I don't think there's any way to track that down, even if you're on the highest paid account.
Is it, would it be appropriate to click on that and send a message?
Well, when you click that on,
Why would I even send a message because I'm not paying?
well, when you click on that, it's going to show you a list of people it might be, right? Try that sometime. It will take you to the search function and show you a list of people, and it is one of those people. But you'd have to send that message to all 10 of them. You could. If you could send a message, you might have to pay for the message because you wouldn't be connected to all those people. You'd have to use an in-mail. Those are $10 a piece, so I don't know. I don't think you're going to be able to figure it out. I don't know. Sorry. I don't have any work. I have no workaround for that one. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
When you're editing your profile, should you turn off the view? It's almost you can turn off when you're messing with it.
Yeah, good.
So everybody doesn't get an email.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I made a mistake of doing that, and I think I sent out all these notifications to everybody, and I was changing. It was flipping,
Cool.
So it was just updating and working with.
Yeah. So the question is, when you're doing some intense work on your profile, you might want to do this. Go to your settings, uncheck this box.
Okay.
And when you uncheck this box, because you're going to work really hard on your profile for the next week or so, uncheck the box that nobody sees such and such changed your profile. Such and such added this skill. Such and such added this job. Such and such changes their picture. So this is in settings, the very first one. Turn on off activity broadcast, uncheck the box.
And then they won't see any of your changes until you check that again?
And even if you check it again and if you don't make any, it's not automatically going to go, he did a whole bunch of stuff. You would have to make one more. And I do recommend that you turn it back on with one more, because generally it's a good thing, right? Generally it's a good thing that people will be encouraged to go look at your profile, but not when you're doing, that's good.
When you're playing with it.
Yeah, no, that's a great setting. I'm glad you brought that up. Oh, other thing, email addresses. While I'm on settings, I might just show you that. In account, add or change email addresses. You have one email address that's primary, and then I recommend you add all the email addresses you've ever had in your life as secondary. Nobody sees them but you, but they might help you get found when somebody remembers your old email address. Because like on an invitation, where they're trying to invite you and the box pops up and they got your old email, LinkedIn will recognize that and let the invitation go through with an old friend. Okay? Here's the other thing. Your primary email address, don't use your company email. Okay? I get a lot of war stories. Wayne, I got fired. I'm locked out. Oh, you're kidding me. I can't get in my LinkedIn because my email is completely blocked. Now, if I teach this class to a bunch of owners of companies, guess what they want to do?
They want it on their computer system.
They want to be able to lock you out.
Yeah.
So you're recording this. Oh my gosh. I'm never going to be able to do another CEO event ever again. I just ruined my reputation. It's one of those things, right? For you guys, that's the best advice, Gmail, Yahoo Mail, because those are yours. Companies, best advice, company email. Partly because some of the things that are coming down the pike with legal stuff, like a quick legal story is that out in California, a sales guy starts working for a company. He'd never been on LinkedIn before. Gets introduced to the sales manager, salesperson. We use LinkedIn around here. We're going to train you on how to do it. Oh, good. I've never been on it. I'd like to learn how. Learns how to use LinkedIn. Spends 4 years with the company. Gets over 500 connections. Quits. Company figures they're their connections. He figures they're his. Some judge someday will decide these things. We don't know how that would have turned out, but we know the pros and cons from what they said. In the company's favor was the fact that he had never been on LinkedIn before, and they trained him, and he used a company email address. In his favor is LinkedIn is a personal site. right? And in amongst all the clients were his college friends and a whole bunch of other people. So I don't know the answer to this yet. Someday the courts will decide whose it is. I'm guessing it's going to be ours. It's just, because I think the courts usually side with the people. And the company's got, whatever, I don't know. That's just Wayne's guess. I don't know. But just protect yourself, that's all. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so I've been out of the workforce for a long time because I've been home raising my kids. So are you okay with that lady's one where she put the volunteer work in the workspace? Because I put it in the volunteer space.
I will put them both places. There's a special section called volunteer causes. I put it down there. But if it's significant enough, put it in as a job entry.
Oh yeah, I have a 2-page volunteer resume. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I put obviously the most significant.
I would recommend any of your volunteer work, if it's significant enough, it should be a current or a past job, but also use that special section on LinkedIn called volunteer causes and duplicate it. Put it both places. Because, people scan things, right? You don't know where they're going to stop. And I think all volunteer work shows you're helping people, and it's a good thing. Especially in the Midwest here, I think everybody respects it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yes, sir.
In that section where you upload your resume, the PDFs and so on.
Yeah.
If you've got a really glowing job review, would that be an appropriate thing to scan or could it be a problem since it is a company document?
What does everybody else think about that? So he's got a glowing recommendation that he was given, right? Your boss gave it to you or whatever. It was your document. What does everybody think about that? I'd put it in there. I'd ask for permission. It's one of those things. That's what forgiveness. I'd ask for forgiveness before permission. I would. Yes.
I did work in the IT business, and every former job that I have has changed names at least once or twice.
A company has.
Yeah,
okay.
company names has changed. So I put, even though I didn't work for a company called Logicalis, I put that in my LinkedIn because that's a company that exists now.
Yeah.
But there's also one other question that relates to them. I worked for a division of GE called GIT Solutions, which kind of imploded. So it doesn't exist in LinkedIn. So my former boss from there, he listed that, because he's got all of his, co-workers and everything else, it's all listed there. And then he listed again right above that, all the same information, but it says GE. So he could say that he worked for GE, and then the little GE logo comes
I like that.
Okay, so that's how you do
So here's the point she's making. It's a good one. Logos are powerful here.
Right.
Especially if they're companies like GE, right? And so to the extent that a company has evolved and changed, and it's currently that, I would have the current there, and in this description I might explain. That way if the keywords come up and I'm looking for that, you'll come up.
Okay.
But I love that idea.
So you have it completely listed twice. Years, exactly the same from it.
I see no problem with that.
Okay.
Yep. As a matter of fact, it gives you another chance to have a whole bunch of keywords, right? By the way, see that title? Look at your keyword worksheet. What was one of the sections where you get extra search ranking besides skills? Somebody yell it out. And the bullet points on the top of your keyword worksheet.
Groups.
Not groups. Titles. So here, if you were administrative assistant, let's say, okay? That was your title, okay? I'd put administrative assistant, and in parentheses I'd put specializing in bookkeeping, comma, QuickBooks, comma, Excel, close the parentheses. Thinking that QuickBooks, Excel, and what else did I say? Accounts receivable are keywords to you. Job titles, there's a reason they're bold. Extra search ranking. So don't be afraid to go past just your title saying specializing in, jobs included, specific jobs included, QuickBooks, programs I operated, comma, comma, close your parentheses. There's a limit to that space there. Use it. It's going to help you a ton.
And unfortunately, there's also a limit to our time.
I know.
We can have one more question
One more
for Wayne,
question.
and then we got to cut him off, and I'm going to close in prayer. So
Yeah.
one more question, if anybody has one.
Okay, last thing, connect with me, please do. I'd like to help you. If you see one of my connections as somebody I can try to introduce you to, I will so try to do that for you. So take advantage of that. I've got 6,500 connections. Maybe there's somebody in there you'd like to meet. I'll try to introduce you. Thanks, David.
Okay, I'd like to just close with some prayer. Let's give Wayne a hand for
Thank you. Thank you.
and everything he said.